Keith, our board, we need to turn the board on.
I don't think we do, because, Keith, do we need to turn the big board on? I don't think we do we?
No,
I'm gonna, when I do
Oh,
my.
we're live right now.
All right, so, being live, I am calling. Hello, everybody, I'm calling this November 10th, 2025 regular meeting of the Mancos RE16 board to order. The time now is 6:03 p.m. Janet, roll call, please.
Craig Finelli,
Here.
Victor Figueroa,
Hi.
Tim Hunter,
Present.
Emily Hutchison Brown,
Here.
Rachel McWhorter. Present.
Excellent, thank you, Janet. Before we get going, I'm going to ask our student board member, I think we have one in attendance tonight, Rhett, if you would please kindly rise and lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
A big pledge.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, everybody that's present this evening, both in person and online. For those of you that are here in person, we do have a bit of an audience. Please turn off your cell phones during the meeting, and if you would like to hold sidebar conversation, if you could take this into the hall. Goes for the people at the table as well, just so that we have an efficient, quick meeting. A reminder that our Board of Education is governed by our own Mancos School District B section policies, which can be found in our updated board handbooks, as well as the school website. I also would like to remind everybody that this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public rather than a meeting with the public. And as a Board of Education, we have agreed to adhere to Robert's Rules of Orders, and the board should notice they're now inclusive in the agenda. I would just be ask each of you to be mindful of those rules and hold each other accountable around the table, insisting on adherence there too. During this meeting, there is a time for public participation. Comments will be heard, and we will require anyone who wishes to speak to sign up prior to the start of the meeting, and the commentary will be limited to 3 minutes. Also, prior to beginning the meeting, I will welcome publicly this evening the 2 newly elected school board members who will seat in December, on December 8th. So in attendance this evening, for the record, is Mr. Craig Fleur, as well as Kira, how was his last name again? Taylor, sorry, I wanted to say Tyler. Kira Taylor. They will be seated December 8th publicly, but they are here this evening and will be present and listening and getting themselves up to speed. So congratulations to both of you. You will be replacing both myself and Victor Figueroa. And so we welcome you to the board, and you have an excellent 4 years, I hope, ahead of you. With that being said, next, I am going to ask if I, at this time, have a motion for the approval of this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have some changes, please.
Well, that's what
Then you
discussion's
can,
about.
then that's what discussion is about. So, do I have a second prior to discussion?
Second.
Okay, discussion, bring up your
May
changes.
we please add a student report to the agenda, and may it please be before the business manager report for number 7A.
7A is in the agenda at the moment.
Okay, can we move 7A to B, B to C, and put the student as 7A, please?
It is 7A in the agenda.
Report for business.
All right, so
There is no student on my agenda.
Was it 70 is the student board member report?
I'm not sure what agenda, you may be looking at what was released prior rather than board book.
Okay,
So
board book.
log on to, I'm sorry.
I didn't have anything on board book.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you could do is you could jump over to Janet so she can help you through it, and then we do have a first and a second.
We did board books.
So our student is,
Yeah.
because
Correct.
he does need to leave, so.
Correct, he is on that.
Cool.
All right, I have a first and a second. Are there any other discussion about any other changes? Anybody? Okay. Janet, will you please call the question?
Craig Finelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Emily Hutchinson Brown,
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter. Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0. We will move forward with the agenda as set on board books. All right, I am going to skip over our board recognition because I think we're going to be doing that next month. Audrey, is there any public participation this evening?
I have,
Oh, you do? Okay.
I have some board recommendation that I'd like, or it's superintendent recommend. I just want to recognize the passing of the Miller. Can I recognize that now?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to recognize the passing of the mill levy and just want to thank our community for putting that forward and really putting kids first and our teachers and our staff to make sure that we're competitive and we can retain and just have the highest quality. And so to everybody that put their effort in, but I want to give a special shout out to Shanti Savage and Alice Miller, who led the mill levy committee to really work to, and a group of about, I think there was at least 20 or 30 people that were out there really working to inform and educate our community about what the mill levy was all about, why it was important to pass that. I'd also just like to shout out to Montezuma County for passing the school meals initiative to make sure that all of our students get continued free meals, not just this year, but into the future. So that wasn't just our district, but Montezuma County and the state of Colorado. So two really exciting initiatives that passed. So thanks to everybody who voted. And for those who didn't vote for the mill levy, if you have questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we'll have more information in the next meeting about the work behind this, the work not behind the scenes, the front of the scenes to make sure that those dollars are well spent and transparent.
Excellent. And it was a long time, it was a long time of effort and work around getting a mill on the ballot. This community had never done anything like this to date for staff salary only. So it was a pretty heavy lift, brought about well over a year ago. And the sport has been talking about it, has done surveys around it, there was a lot of homework being done around all of this. So I commend the committee for doing the work to get the awareness there, but also this board for doing a lot of the work with our district administration and many consultants. And it was a lot of lift, and happy to see that it came to fruition. Thank you. So big congrats all around for sure. I'm excited to see what you guys can do. So, okay, anybody want to add to that at all? All right, do we have any public participation, Janet?
We do not.
All right, so we're gonna move to 7A, which is our student report. This is the first report that will be given this year. And we have one of two students.
Emily, I'm sorry, I'm gonna add just a second. I think that we made a mistake in not adding the DAC to the DAC up. I see, Sarah, are you wanting to provide an update? Can she do that in the public participation section? That the DAC did have a meeting on Thursday.
Okay, so let me get through student
Yep.
report,
Perfect.
and then I'll need somebody to make a motion to add the DAC. All right, and so we can do that. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we include DAC after our student board member.
There's our first and our second. Janet, can you please call the question?
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
Aye.
Tim Hunter. Emily Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter. Aye.
Perfect. So 5-0, we're gonna add the DAC specific report after our student report.
That should be part of our regular agenda.
It should. I don't know where we went off the template, but that's okay. That's what you're gonna.
The newbies over here.
You're gonna learn. It's part of it is this.
Already taking fire.
Well, no, not you. It's because we're using a transit program, so that's part of the template.
All right, so for our student board report, Greta is battling an illness, so she's not able to be here tonight, so she is excused, but we do have Brett. Go for it.
Okay, so far, we've created a Google form, which will hopefully be sent out to students by either Tuesday or Wednesday. And we've put questions on it, which I'm gonna read out now. What is your name and grade level? Do you have any ideas for the school, and then I put an example, like one lunchtime, or if you want my headphones in class. And what are some things that the school is doing well? And then when we do get responses from this survey, we are going to create another Google form where students themselves will rank the suggestions 1 through 5, and that will all be collaborated into a ranking. So the top ranking ones we'll share with you guys. And then we're also in the works of hopefully making a little suggestion box to put somewhere in the high school for students to, like, I think it'll just be paper and pen, and they can just put their suggestions into that.
Nice. Excellent.
Well, Joe.
Good way to kick it off. All right. Excellent. Anybody have any questions for Beth? Have you had I do. Have you had students come up and talk to you? Like knowing, oh, you're sitting on the board, or I can say something to you as a student that you will carry forward?
Just kind of my friends so far, cause I
Yeah.
don't think it's advertised that much that we're all on the board to the students, but.
No, if your Google form, it should be.
Yeah. Well, you and Greta are gonna have a line. We might have, you could meet in Mr. Custer's room. That's what he's here for. Well, good work. That's a great way to get started. So thank you for your report, Brett. All right, with that being said, I am going to ask next up that we have Sarah Rank give us a district accountability committee report for the month of November, please.
Yeah, so we had a meeting last Thursday, it was November 6th, I believe, because we felt it would be important to meet between the time we got the election results and ahead of this board meeting, so that we could, share some thoughts, with the board on what it meant, whatever the results of the election. So we were glad to celebrate, that the mill levy override passed. And we were also celebrating just, the community showing up for kids by participating in the school board elections, the state propositions, and the mill levy override. So we were celebrating that, as well as the Honor and Remember concert that, Andrew Soletta organized last week. That was very sweet. So our meeting, during the meeting, Audrey gave us a rundown, kind of a mill levy funding 101, and then Chrissy went into salaries and wages 101. And then we also discussed the collaborative process, and there were some discussions along the way. But some of the highlights are, when we looked at the language for the mill levy, it's a dollar amount rather than mills. And the board, you know this, as the ones who put the language forward, but we just wanna make sure that that messaging is out there. Especially as a committee to oversee how these revenues are spent, comes together. And so it's a total of $600,000 annually, and then adjusted with inflation. And so this year, that's gonna look like, $488,000 in stipends, and then the rest to contribute to para and Medicare benefits. So as the discussions are happening about how to distribute the $600,000, we gotta remember to keep in mind that a portion of that has to go to those matching benefits, as well as any increases and changes to the salary schedule. So that was a big one. The other big piece from the ballot language that we really wanted to make sure everyone's aware of is that it does say it will be used for all district staff. So it's not just teachers, it's not just admin, it's everybody's gonna get a piece of this new revenue for teacher and staff pay. So when you get into the salary and wages 101, that is. Chrissy did a really, thank you, Chrissy, for going through, that's at least 5 pages of spreadsheets each with the different positions and where people are at with classified teachers, I think classified, right, or the certified, no, the certified teachers who are licensed, and the number of credit hours and the years of service. And so there's a lot to go into that, and really, the way that the salary schedule has been. Doesn't mean it has to follow that same structure, we could look at what other regions are doing, but there's not like a set template out anywhere. So really getting to know what that salary schedule looks like and how it could be looked at differently is something that the committee's gonna have to do, that's gonna take some work. It is interesting, we looked at a couple different details on there. We looked at step increases, those have that's a possibility for using some of that money, is changing steps. When there's an increase, a percentage increase to a raise for a starting salary, it gets distributed across that table. So it might look like somebody at a lower salary level is getting a higher percentage increase, which is true, but it does trickle down throughout. So that's important to keep in mind should the committee move forward and the board with the same structure for the salary and wage schedule. So there is a need to be transparent, that was reiterated throughout our discussions, but we looked at the starting salary for the lowest paid staff. Is above minimum wage and is above what the minimum wage is going up to, so we felt that that was. Puts us at least a decent starting point, but we're gonna have to distribute across. And some additional. Keeping in mind that equitable distribution too is looking at where people start, so keeping that in mind is figuring out how. That $600,000 gets distributed across. And then we looked at for 10 credit hours of higher education, the average cost of that is just over $2,000. And so with the $725 current increase for every 10 credits that staff person is eligible for, it costs them $2,000 to get the $725 raise. So it's gonna take them a couple of years to see a return on investment in that. So looking at that increase in credits is another option for the committee. So there's really a lot to look at. And we talked about what the composition of this committee that's gonna get together should look like. And the work ahead, and so, hopefully this committee can get established by the end of November. So that there can be a meeting in December to talk about, the guiding principles, cause there are so many ways that this could be distributed. And analyze, and then having several meetings in January, February, and March. And then presenting to the Board of Education before the end of this fiscal year. So we talked about what the good size of the committee would look like, and we came up with approximately a dozen people. Rachel and Audrey, please speak up to this, cause if your notes are better than mine. But it was about a dozen people. We had about 7 or so that would be staff, about half the committee would be staff. We feel it's important that there's classified and certified staff from each school represented on this committee, plus admin and professional staff. There should be at least one parent, at least one community member, and we also thought that it would be beneficial to have a commercial property owner as part of this committee, as those are the folks in our community who are gonna see the biggest tax burden increase with the passage of this mill levy. And so we're hoping that the board can use their linkages and their connections that they've already been working on to maybe get some folks on that committee. So Audrey and Chrissy are gonna take the information that we discussed in our meeting, put together some language for recruitment on that committee and get back to us. So for now, it's really a focus on this committee that's got a lot of work ahead of them to do, but it can be done. So I'm grateful for anyone who steps up.
That was an excellent synthesis.
Yes.
And
Very good.
I did just share a draft, which I'll share with the tomorrow morning at the work session around that committee makeup.
Perfect.
So that the DAC committee can look at that to make sure it represents what we talked about. And then it will go out in the Mancus matters for sure, and then those other communication channels, and I appreciate you mentioning the board linkages, so I'll create that language and send it out to the board so they can push it out to folks who might be interested.
Excellent. Chrissy, do you want to follow that with your business manager report, which highlights much of what was just discussed?
Yeah, so you did awesome. I don't even really need to talk about it. She nailed it. So, yeah, so I don't even really think, unless you guys have any questions about that middle lake, anything, because she really did.
You shared the schedules with the board though, so that they've
Yeah.
seen the initial start.
Yep. Yep, so, you will see though today on the, action items, 2 new salary schedules that are put forward for approval. I just want to let you know, one of them is just a name change on the professional salary schedule. It's under the tech director, we added HR director under that same column and got rid of the CTE grants director. So it's just a name substitution there. So nothing changed there. But the other one is a new column on the classified salary schedule, titled Operations Technician. It is a new role. However, it's very important to note that the combination of this new position is with our transportation secretary, which that salary is already in the budget. One of our bus drivers, has a ton of experience, in the whole transportation world, and she's stepped it up to help with a lot of the paperwork of the bus barn. And then we hired this new gentleman, to be the technician who will do, some of our mechanicing. And if there's no mechanicing needing done, he'll help out with maintenance, snow removal, organizing things. But I want you to really let you know that the cost is the same, so there's no, increase to the existing budget for that position of our original director who left.
Right,
Does
so
that make
that's,
sense?
yeah, so.
So you just massaged it all around, made it work.
We have 3 people doing
Had
it.
to add another column.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
so
just had to do that.
So we've taken the posting down, or we'll go down, the transportation director posting down, and we'll analyze how it's going. And we're excited about who we hired,
Yep.
lots of skills, and we'll be here he was here this morning to turn on the buses, have everything ready, he'll get here
Yeah.
early, he'll be the first to work on. To do road checks and all that stuff. Work on the buses.
Yep, and we had a local mechanic meet him up there. They kind of went through a whole test on mechanicing and he passed with flying colors. And so we feel really good about this new hire. So anyway, that's why we're adding those 2 new salary schedules for your approval tonight. So that's that. And
We
then,
should also just shout out Cheryl,
oh, that's the
our bus
bus
driver,
Cheryl.
she's amazing, and
Oh my
she
gosh.
has done so much to keep that bus department going, along with Destry,
Yeah.
and has a ton of skills. She even helped us recruit a substitute bus driver and somebody who's running our activity buses, so we're no longer in the red zone of transportation.
No,
And
it's
we're
the
working on
best.
like building up a fleet of certified drivers. So that's
It's
exciting.
wonderful.
So
We're in the best shape we've been in a really long time with bus drivers.
That's good.
So that's,
And so this is the
Shouldn't
plan
say-
then for the future is not to look for a director, but to go with this
well,
model.
to see what this model does throughout this school year, since it was kind of middle of the year hired. And see where it goes. We may open it up for the transportation director next year, it may change completely, we'll just see how this goes. But for now, we feel very good about what's going on.
So you're essentially asking the board to affirm a salary schedule that adds this particular position in there as you do the work to make it work.
Correct.
Great. And then you had one other thing.
And then just, student count. So today Heather, submitted our October, count report to CDE.
Mhm.
It looks like our total count FTE is at 453.
Mhm.
So we budgeted in June for 463, so we are down 10 students. About $135,000 is what we're looking at there. We had, on that chart, you'll see there's 31 kindergartners, but we only could count 29 because 4 of those kindergartners are part-time. So that's why that FTE is a little smaller otherwise, we have 453 kids, so I'm just gonna get to work and figure out how I'm gonna make this puzzle and true up the numbers and get everything going. And for our new board members, we true up our budget in January off of this off of this school's, budget cycle. Yep, and so once October count is submitted to CDE, they will then give us the final numbers. At some point, the governor, all of the legislation will go through with our final, per pupil dollar amount. So then we do true up the budget in January. So that's what I'll be working on, and we'll present the new budget in January at our regular meeting for approval by all of you. So that's how that will go. So right now I'm just starting to work with that and see where it goes.
I think the grand total column has an, count needs to be updated, but, I wanted to, because that's the first thing I noticed was there was a huge gap there between FTE and grand total.
Oh, it's because of preschool.
Okay.
Preschool does not count in our FTE.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
So the other thing I want to highlight is out of that 453, nearly 100 of those students are out of district students. Here's why I want to highlight it, and personally why I would like to highlight it. That means that we have almost 100 students being driven to our district, not by a bus, more than likely, because of a quality of which that family sees that Mancos holds. I think that is something that the district should be given some pretty gigantic kudos for. Because it's pretty hard to pull kids from out of district at that level and be able to fund at that level. And be able to do it well and still provide all of the things you're providing to those families for athletics, for academics, for being inclusive on one campus and being part of a community. I've watched this over several years and I've seen our numbers. But that number has really increased and I think that's something to be lifted up. It's a big deal and we should continue to lift that up because we're doing a great job. So that's the thing that stands out for me. I know that we have a budget shortfall, 135 grand is no number to sneeze at, but I also want to lift up the fact that that is out of a budget that is a $6.7 million budget. So although it's a scary number, okay, $135,000 is a scary number, but when you take it as a percentage of $6.7 million, the district will be able, you all will be able to do the work, you all will be able to adapt. It is not going to harm our ability to educate our kids and have an inclusive district, so.
you're correct. There are some significant additions to the budget that I'm gonna have to figure out how to work in.
We'll bring that in.
We'll bring that, yeah, we'll bring it later, cause it's, I just have a list.
It's okay.
After like.
That's the work to be done,
I have a
right?
lot of work to do, but
She's got all these lists.
I do. So we'll see where it all goes. So I just wanted to give you the basic update on our count.
It's good.
So Madam President, I would like to move that we accept the professional salary schedule and then the regular salary schedule with the changes we talked about.
Do we have any further discussion or questions prior to a vote? Anybody have any comments or questions for Chrissy on her business management?
Good job, and it's a lot of work.
Great, doing good.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I got a first to accept it. And now, hold on a second, you're talking about salary schedule? I think, believe it's part of our consent agenda potentially, let me make
Okay,
sure.
right now looked at the new one, it's not.
It's not there, so let's go ahead and move forward with it, that's great. So I've got a first and a second to accept the salary schedules as presented. Any discussion prior to vote? Janet, call the question, please.
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
Aye.
Tim Hunter.
Aye.
Molly Hutchinson Brown.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That passes 5-0. We have our superintendent report now. Next, and I would ask that Audrey, while you are presenting your update, Janet, would you please take a look at that consent and make sure that we're not missing anything in there, because I think we might be. I want to make sure that we're not missing anything that didn't get automatically or accidentally. It might be 9C. I think we might be okay with that, so. All right, so Audrey.
All right, just a question on format. Should I present, Keith, can you hear me? Oh, nobody can hear me. Should I be presenting and within Zoom and putting my projection in the Zoom meeting, like share my
For your
screen?
100 days?
Yeah.
That's really your
Share the
choice.
screen.
Share the
you can share the
screen. Okay, here we go.
It's not gonna do any
Okay,
harm.
hang on a second. Oh, that does not, let's see. This is scary. Hang on, folks. It's giving me all these weird. See this, hang on a second. Just close a couple things. Okay, now I'm gonna share the screen. When I can find my screen. What? I just have I think you might need to give me permission, Keith, because I got X's for screen sharing. Try it again. I'm in. No, I'm just on I'm in the meeting. Oh, wait. Keith, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, turn that baby down. I need to unmute. I'll Okay, one more time. Otherwise, I'll just start.
I was gonna say, otherwise what I would do is direct everybody to that. The document that we're about ready to discuss has also been shared in the Make Us Matters newsletter, and it is also online, and there is a version of it in which Audrey will actually walk you through with her recorded voice, the report itself, and so you can listen to her her report and her commentary as you scroll through the report, so. But if you also want to do live, do that.
Correct. Right, and this is just a summary of the report that's been shared out in Mancus Matters and with the board here. It's a work session, so I really just want to provide a summary of the 100-day report, which really my goal for this report is to share what I've learned about the strengths, hopes, and opportunities for Mancus School District from what I've learned from students, staff, parents, and our community. And also then share an updated, refined strategic plan that's building on the great things happening and addresses areas for improvement. So a few highlights over the last few months. It's just been a real joy to be sitting in this seat and an honor to get to learn and listen to the community. And I appreciate everyone that's shared their thoughts and their hopes and taken the time to speak with me, send me an email, give feedback, ask really good questions. So I had a chance to meet in a lot of different formats with a lot of different people, over 40 parents, with shadowed students, and on a lot of staff meetings, the district accountability and the school board. Learned a lot of things in those sessions, had a great time being with the students, and want to highlight our core strengths and assets of being an exceptional staff and community, having a commitment to engaging and innovative learning practices here at the Mancus School District, which is probably why a lot of folks are choosing the Mancus School District, and that the student growth and achievement data is strong. And I also was able to identify areas, well, and I do want to highlight a couple quotes, lots of quotes from people over the course of the last 3 months. So here's a couple from the community members that have shared. I have been truly impressed with how welcoming and collaborative the staff are in Mancus School District. Small communities with great families. And everyone is welcoming and they treat students like it's their own because it's our own little community, like a family. So, oh, and a student shared, I like the personal connection with my teachers. We heard that over and over from our students. A commitment to the engaging practices, small class sizes, engaged teachers, project-based learning, partnerships with local organizations, and a lot going on with our high school and our CTE pathways and opportunities for students. We also identified some areas, I was also identify some areas for improvement. One in the area of culture, that we can continue to connect with one another and build trust. That our instructional program, we need to address our consistency in our instructional methods across classrooms and the alignment of our curriculum to make sure that students are getting the strongest levels of support and that ability to build year to year and from class to class. And within our systems, that making sure that we ensure that there's systematic supports for students and staff, that we meet students and staff where they are and support them in their growth, whether it be their professional growth as staff or their growth as learners. A few things that folks mentioned in those areas for growth is that we a need to create opportunities for our families with students with special needs to connect, as well as our new parents, that we're reducing staff turnover and really listening to staff directly. And how do we make sure that staff get time to recharge and get those breaks when they need it? Teaching and working with students is such an intensive profession. How do we build that into the day so that our students get the best of our teachers? Those are our areas of strengths and growth, and what that all means, bringing it together, is what does that refined, what are my recommendations? So I have some recommendations around the strategic plan, our areas for targeting that work, and the key actions. So the strategic plan, you can go into that and learn about the different ways that the old strategic plan is now refined into the new strategic plan. We tried to simplify it so that it's really meaningful and manageable for our staff and our community. You should see those 3 goals around building a healthy community, making sure that we have engaging learning experiences every day, and that there are cohesive systems and structures to support that work so that every student grows at high levels and does that in a community where they really feel that sense of belonging. So from that are those 3 goals around community, learning, and cohesive systems. And then the work that you'll see in this presentation, as well as what was shared in Make Us Matters, we've really started to break that down to make sure that we're honing in on a few key areas this year to meet those goals and building those and continuing to make sure everyone is going forward in the same direction. So it's a bit of a, what's our North Star? So you can go through that presentation to see all that. There's a lot of details in there, but like I said, the end game is that we are really clear on our goals and what we believe in and are working towards for every student, and that every staff, that we create really clear action plans, and that we have evidence to check and monitor how we're doing along the way. So you'll see that and how we've engaged students and families in that. And I'm gonna just kind of move towards that 1 pager. So soon you'll start seeing us referencing these goals more. So hopefully in Make Us Matters, you'll see, okay, we're sharing something about the CTE program. You can see how that was student led or challenging, so that there's really that connection for like, what are we hoping for and how is that playing out in the school? And that there's a cycle of continuous improvement, and that will start bringing forth the work that's underway for your feedback and for your input. For our staff that's paying attention and listening to this tonight, I want to say that this is always open for feedback and ongoing refinement, especially as we get into building those action plans and that we build it together. That it's not happening behind a curtain, but that we build it together and that we learn together in those action areas, and for our community members, our parents, that really you start seeing that in your student experience and the student work. And we're always open for questions. There's a couple key recommendations that I want to put forth to the board for reflection, is that we return to the mission and vision. That's been a while since that has had a community engagement process around the mission and vision, and so making sure that it reflects what our community today hopes for, and that it's inspiring and it guides us, that it kind of serves as that point so that everything, does this get us there? What's relevant, what needs revision? And the second recommendation around that is that we synthesize and renew some guiding principles or core values that connect to our portrait of a graduate, but that create that common language pre-K through 12th grade for what it means to be, whatever you want to call it, the Memphis way, the Blue Jay way, that we're all, we have a lot of different ways that we talk about that here, which is really, our kids are getting great experiences around those guiding principles or core values and like how to be that student that where you can really grow and learn and build those competencies, but that we can align that with the mission vision. So those are the two recommendations along with the refined strategic plan. So those are the three things that I'm just putting forth to the board so that we, for acceptance to move forward with, so we can start getting down with the action planning for that all. I think I put a little discretion protocol in there. We want something to guide that. We can go to that, or that I can jump to the other report. What do you think?
I think it's probably good to motion now, since it's not part of the consent. So with that in mind, do you want to restate your three and then we can consider as a board?
So 3 recommendations for going forward would be around a process to revisit the mission and vision. That is not an overnight process, that we take the time to do that well with community engagement and input. It's not a has to overnight. It's more about the engagement process that we end up with one. So that engage around mission vision and guiding principles, core values, strategic portrait of a graduate, so that we simplify that a bit so that it's easier for us to really embed into everyday instruction and our work with students. And the third one being the refined strategic plan with those 3 goals. I think those are the 3.
All right, so we need a motion and we can also discuss after a second.
I make a motion that we accept the 3 recommendations laid out by our superintendent.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second to speak as one board voice to ask our superintendent to move forward with work related to mission, vision, as well as the goals and the structure behind that, along with acceptance of the strategic plan as it has been presented to us to move forward and work with that. Is there any discussion around or further questions around instructing our superintendent to do so? No? Okay,
Thank
Chair,
you.
call the question.
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
Aye.
Tim Hunter. Emily Hutchison Brown.
Aye. Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much for that very thorough report, Audrey. I know you put hours and hours of work into especially your 100-day reflections, and I would encourage the community, since they were unable to watch it live, that you go to our website and also review the community newsletter and listen to that video presentation where she will walk you through every single point and page of that first 100 days. All right. Let's see.
The remainder of the superintendent's report.
Yep. Yep, so just, because
The
that's,
discussion protocol.
the operations updates. I don't think we need I think we're good to move on from the discussion protocol.
That discussion protocol, I would make one recommendation that if you want to use it ongoing, that it become part of our norms.
That's
So
good,
you
yeah.
can just put it there.
Yep.
If that's the practice you're gonna use.
Yes, that's good.
All right, so your ops report was very small. I read it, so.
Yeah, just to
present that quickly.
Yeah, since so much was around the 100-day report, just wanted to make sure that we're keeping everybody apprised of things happening behind the scenes for operations. I do want to celebrate that we've hired a math teacher in our high school as of today. So Jamie Snellings has been co-teaching alongside Lewis Horton and James Hughes, who have been doing double duty in their roles. And actually, not only was it somebody who's been able to work alongside and train into that position, but we also did have a competitive process. We had 3 candidates come forward over the last about 4 weeks, and so we had a competitive process and a hiring committee with all of the math team, and so. And I think she got some cheers from our students today, as she's been in the classroom with them, so that's one news around our human resources. We're currently in the process of hiring our business manager, so we have at least 3 candidates that we'll be interviewing. We should be wrapping up with those by the end of this week, next week, the first round, but we have multiple rounds for that. So hopefully by the, certainly by the winter holiday, that hopefully we should have that so that they're ready to start on training in January for an April start date. I think we just talked about the transportation director, kind of the shift in that, so I won't go through that. One thing that's underway on facilities is that Performance Services is a design build group that does facilities assessments pro bono to support school districts who might be moving forward with any sort of facilities needs. And so they are focused, where they're going to be providing us a report by the end of the month with a focus on safety and security, because we've identified a number of needs. The purpose behind that is to decide, and this will be brought to the board to consider in December if it's something that we would want to apply for the BEST grant. So that'll be a report with estimations of cost, and as for those of you that to understand, the BEST grant is usually about a 50-50 match for that. So the BEST grant process is underway at the end of, it's due at the end of January. So what I will do in the interim is that you have to put an intent to apply in before the end of November to them, to the state, so they know it might be coming. It's a really simple form where I just basically fill it out and say, we might apply, and then in December, the board can look at that. To determine if our safety and security needs alongside the revised budget.
Do you plan on presenting to the board a detailed report that says, here are all the issues, here's how they pertain to the campus, here's the cost?
Yes,
Is that
and
kind of?
I think
because
we've
know that
got
company-
Performance Services queued up to come and be a part of that
Okay, good.
presentation. So I think we've got them queued for the work session to bring that, and as soon as I have the report to share out, I'll make that public.
It's just I'm just remembering last year, the Performance Service folks.
Yes.
These are the same guys.
These
that
are the
was-
same guys. They came back and first just met with me to kind of go through the previous report, and then we talked about. They did some analysis of a few of things, and we said, well, we met with, of course, this is alongside Destry Lockhart, of the critical needs, knowing that, you know, what is the timing of our facilities projects. And so we said, well, safety and security is our priority, that we didn't want to wait another year to, you know, we have some of the known issues are the door systems that are really not working well and constantly under in some of the ADA requirements and some of the pathways and things.
So the report that we received last year
Yeah.
from this
Yes.
committee or this organization, you're taking it to the next step
Yeah,
now. You're
basically.
saying, now
Yeah.
here are the priorities and we want the board to act on that.
Yes, and they've come
Okay.
back and done kind of some additional assessments around, did a walk through with us to identify all of the, like we said, we just said every possible safety, security thing that we can think of, down to like this gate handle isn't working here. We had them include that in the report. We'll also share that report with our operations team when it comes back, to make sure we didn't miss anything. You know, we went through with our facilities team, but so.
Their previous report was mostly about mechanicals and facilities, not specifically, this new was specifically our safety and security stuff.
Yeah, so I think we went deeper. Yes, we went further.
So
Yeah.
I did further, so just for the new board members
Yeah.
to see both reports, so
Yeah,
they
good.
understand
We'll
what
pull out
that
that.
looks like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we'll bring both reports further so then, and the public can see the other elements that aren't being considered for being addressed right off the bat.
I think it's worth noting too, just for clarification for the public as well as the new board members, The last time that the district went for a best grant, which you were, I believe, a part of that process. I was not, but I was on DAC at the time. It was a much more significant ask. It was a huge ask, and it was for the improvement of the school overall. And that was 7 years.
7 years.
7 years ago. So the way the best grant works, because I actually had to ask this clarifying question, is that any district can go for a best grant. You can go more than one time. But best grants are guided around the half and half. Like there is a part that the district pays, there is a part that the grant is provided for. So the work to be done is to understand what repairs are necessary, what those repairs cost as a whole, what that ask is, and then how the district pays for their portion. At the time, the last time that we did this, it was millions upon millions that of course the district did that. I think it was 23 million. If I remember correctly.
23 million, and our community actually best gave us basically they gave us a buy
Correct.
on the full price of our match, so that our community though voted for a $5 million bond.
Which was a big,
To support our part of that, which
for 30
was
years.
just a gift from the grant committee.
Correct. And that was what enabled us to do so many of the improvements that are in use and on campus today. And so I do think it's worth clarifying that this is separate from that, but this is in an effort to find that assistance to do some of these safety, security, some of these heavy lifts that are not gonna be easy to accommodate because there's quite a bit.
Yeah, and the best program ranks, it's grants based on safety, security, you know, they have a criteria, so it'll be higher on the list in terms of it as it looks and considers, whether or not we would get the best grant or not remains to be seen.
That was one of the points I wanted to make.
Yeah.
To be clear, there's a lot of proposals. And the state doesn't have that much money. Matter of fact, this year is really a tight budget for everybody. So this idea that we can maybe get it is, fingers crossed, we could.
Right.
But it could be really tight and they could say, there's not really anybody that's gonna get it, because they're considering cutting this program while they figure out how to balance their budget.
Yeah.
That's been a discussion from the LRAC and from CASB.
Right,
That doesn't mean they will, it's just been a discussion.
and we can, when we look at that proposal, we can determine if we would want to go for any amount of it. We could say like, let's do these 3 items, or whatever, or let's do the whole thing. So that's really for the board to look at next month.
And it's always something to wrap your mind around as the full board, just what is on the plate. Because part of the work that had been done was around, do we ask for a mill and a bond? And we elected not to ask for a bond. Because there was so much to be done. And that is something I think the community needs to be aware of, is that we are operating the oldest operating high school in the state of Colorado. It doesn't exactly hold itself up. There's a lot to be done, to be maintained and to keep going. And it's going to be an always ever evolving list of maintenance and just upkeep and ongoing ask. And so as you do that work, look at what the past held, look at what's in front of you and look down the road, right? Because this will not be just, oh, we're gonna do this one time and we're done. It may bring us up to speed within one component of our district, but it may not carry our district 20 years into the future. It's gonna be the what we need now fix, more than likely. So do the work. There's a lot of digging in, and then thankfully there's a lot of history and there's a lot there. So it'll be a lot. Okay. Anything else?
Couple other just highlights, the high-risk inspection was completed last week. We'll get a written report, but there was a lot of improvements to be made and they came through with flying colors. So just a huge shout out to our facilities team and the teachers and folks that manage those spaces, like our labs, art spaces, any place where those chemicals, custodial spaces, any place with those the chemicals or labs are under happening, storage, yes. A highlight is that, you may not know, but it's taken a little while to get our food service fully staffed, our team, and so Casey's got a great team. It's a really fun, positive environment back there. So that means that the grab and go is up for our secondary students because we have our full staffing. And we're reviewing a plan for bringing breakfast back, breakfast service. We've had breakfast service. We haven't not had breakfast service, but bringing it back over to the secondary school to increase access because our numbers are down for our middle and high school students that are eating breakfast from when it's been over there in the past. And especially at this time to make sure that we have food accessible if any of our students are experiencing food insecurity. But also just we know our developmentally, those students are coming to school at the time when maybe their bodies still want them to be in bed. So if we can make it easier for them to get a healthy breakfast, we're working to put that together. And just a shout out to Mr. Keith Husky downstairs, who has, if you go into our elementary classrooms, those interactive TVs are now in all of the classrooms. And the teachers are learning how to use them. We'll continue to support the teachers with that. That is the superintendent update for operations. Anybody have anything to ask or questions or? Oh, okay. We're gonna move on to approval of our meeting minutes. We're doing this a little out of order, so 9A, if I can have a motion, please.
Yeah, so moved. Do we approve our meeting minutes?
These are from October 20th. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Craig, the seconds. Any discussion needed on October 20th, 2025 minutes? Oh, Janet, call the question.
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
Hi,
Tim Hunter. Emily Hutchison Brown.
Aye.
And Rachel McWhorter.
All right, motion carries 5-0. I'm gonna move on to 9B. Apologies for Janet, you're gonna get really good at calling the question. 9B, which is our policy second and adoption of JLCD, administering medications to students. I need a motion to move that
I
forward.
move that we approve our second reading and approval of JLCD, JLCDE, and JLDC administering
Same.
medication to students.
So I have a first, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second, any discussion? All right, Janet, call the question.
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
hi,
Tim Hunter. Emily Hutchison Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Motion carries 5-0. We're going to move on to our personnel recommendations for the evening. 9C, if I can have a motion.
I'll move that we approve the personnel recommendations as written.
I have a first, do I have a second?
I'll second that discussion.
Discussion, please?
Do we need to add the new math teacher to that, or will that come next?
Next time.
Okay.
Janet, please call the question.
Craig Benelli.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa.
hi,
Tim Hunter. Emily Hutchison Brown.
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Motion carries 5-0. All right. With that, we are at the end of our meeting time this evening. And so, Mr. Hunter, I'm going to ask that you conduct the board debrief before.
Oh, boy.
Can I hop in here? So do we have anything for future agenda items first before we get into that? Is there anything else you guys want to add to December?
I think we spoke about the operation or the facilities piece, and then I think a lot will be on the budget.
Yep, and I just want to remind you guys of the mill levy certification. You guys might be at CASB when we have to do that. I just wait on the paperwork from the county, so we're kind of out there. I'm waiting for that and in order for me to do that, so. I never know when I'm gonna get it, so you guys might have to just pull together a quick meeting, special meeting while you're there, possibly. So we'll see.
We can do
I don't know.
that, just have to put out on Zoom.
Yeah. So we might have to do that, or if we're lucky enough, maybe we can do it on the 8th. That would be ideal, but
Great.
I just don't know.
So you said that's due the 15th. We possibly may not get it from the county in time for the 8th.
Before the 8th meeting, yep. It has to go to CDE and the county by the 15th. So I'll just keep you posted, just One fund reader.
I also just want to have a reminder to possibly invite Royce to come talk to us in January for one of the work sessions.
Yeah,
About BOCES.
yes.
Mr. Hunter.
January.
Yep.
Oh, boy, let's go around, Victor, were you surprised or unprepared for anything during the meeting?
No,
Hey. Rachel, did you learn anything new tonight?
Lots of things new. The
Okay.
100-day was fantastic. I think you're doing some really good things with that. So, thank you.
Craig, were there any decisions made by the board that need to be communicated to the public that you heard?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they discussed what they were gonna put out to the public, so, and, Emily, did we cross into operations?
I think we did a fairly good job. I do think that consistency of one board, one voice, one direction will be helpful to move these meetings along in the future.
And I did not hear anything that's going to require a new policy or revision, Lincoln, right now.
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. With that being said, it is 7:00.